It's funny, I've never done this for emergency people right next to me.
Welcome to the Golden Group Strategic Growth Podcast, featuring expert insights, interviews with thought leaders, and business plan triage. Hosted by Kyle Golding, award-winning entrepreneur, CEO, and chief strategic idealist for the Golden Group.
My name is Kyle Golding. I am a lifelong entrepreneur, 37 years of entrepreneurism, 20 years in marketing, and the last 15 have been focused on strategic planning. Mostly because when I worked in corporate marketing, I had bosses who tried to just tell me to just do stuff without a plan, without strategy. And then, of course, when it failed, they said the marketing team sucked. And I got really tired of doing that. I went out on my own and have my own consulting firm for the last 12 years, focused specifically on strategy, planning, etc. So I have way too many notes to give you guys today. So as Hannah was saying, I absolutely love being conversational about this. So if this breaks down into 15 minutes of Q&A, I'll be perfectly happy with that too, okay? So I'm gonna go through some basic concepts and definitions. I'm gonna ask you guys some questions. Like I say, if you have questions about what I'm talking about, if I go too fast, you want me to fill in, come on in, folks. Please, let me know. I'll ask a question, we'll have a conversation. It's very possible someone else has the same question, or that might lead us down a whole new path, who knows, okay? So all I ask is everyone be ready to ask and answer some questions, okay? In fact, so we're gonna start with a couple of easy questions. Is there anyone here who is considering starting a business? Okay, so everyone here owns a business or works at a decision leadership level at a business, right? Okay, let me see hands for everyone who owns their own business. Okay, for everyone who owns a business or is a leader in a business, do you have a written formal business plan? Okay, so everyone's hands went up, and then now two hands went up.
Good job.
Okay, so we already have our first thing we can talk about. Yes, and congratulations to the ladies on the couch for having a business plan. It's very common for startups and small businesses to feel like they don't need to go through the full process of writing a business plan. It's an opportunity, though, for you to really dive into the backside of your business. Now, of those two of you who have a business plan, do you also have a separate written strategic plan? Your strategic plan, your strategy is a part of a business plan, but it's not the whole of a business plan. And there are things that you can do much more specific to the action of creating and repeating sales and income generation that is based on strategy that does have nothing to do with the overall business plan. A lot of the elements in a business plan are, of course, the mission of the organization, but things like organizational structure, funding resources, budget, all kinds of things that are outside of strategy. Strategy is in the business plan, but you still should have a separate strategic plan. So that's what we'll talk about today, is what's in the strategic plan, why it's important. When you write a business plan, often it's write a business plan, put it together, and you start working, and it's not intended for you to every 3-6 months to go back to your business plan and make major changes, unless you have a pivot in your organization. But a strategic plan is absolutely intended to be updated and adjusted and changed on a very regular basis. And so that's our conversation today is you have to have a strategic plan, and you have to be continually utilizing it, interacting with it, and adjusting it as you go forward, because the world is going to push back on you. Competition is going to push back on you. Things you thought would work won't. Things you thought wouldn't work will, etc. And the point of being strategic, having a strategy, is to marshal all of the things that can help you be successful and utilize it at your best advantage, while trying to stay away from things that will make you, less successful. I ask about business plans. Who has, whether you have a business plan or not, who has a written strategic plan? Case. The VP has. Who wrote that for you?
Oh, you did.
I did. Okay. So, I'm checking I have a bad habit of making notes and then never going back to them again.
This might be like a dumb question or something that we're going to cover, but what is the difference between the business plan and the strategic plan, and what exactly, like I'm kind of like, we have a lot of stuff, I'm like, I don't know, maybe, but I'm not sure.
Okay.
I literally just leaned over and said, what is a strategic plan?
I'll give you the definitions, and then we can talk about what that means in the real world. Okay. Because I did kind of have the difference and the relation, because a strategic plan is a subset of your business plan. Okay. A business plan is a comprehensive document that outlines the details of a specific business venture. It typically includes information about a company's products or services, what it is you do. Your strategic plan is there as well. Operational logistics. This is also usually your organizational charts. Also, if you're manufacturing, what type of machinery you need, what type of distribution you have, etc.
Equipment, stuff like that.
Exactly. Management structure. Who does what? Who reports to what? Who's responsible for what? Financial projections. How much money do you expect to make next year? How much you're going to make per quarter for the year? And the cost that comes with it, which is your budget. So all of those are elements of a business plan. Now, a strategic plan is a plan that outlines the organization's vision, mission, goals over several years. Not 10 years, but also not 1 year. Strategic plan, people think of in 1 year increments. The first of the year is always a great time to kind of review your strategic plan. You can't make changes to your business daily, and probably not weekly, but you can't wait till the end of the year to make adjustments where you're probably late or behind the curve. So a business plan is intended to be static in big chunks, yearly chunks. But a strategic plan is fluid.
And you're saying you kind of revise and revisit like monthly or quarterly?
Yes.
Okay.
Best case scenario, you're revising, you're going back to your strategic plan and comparing it to feedback. What's happening, what's working, what's not, what people appreciate, what they don't. Monthly, then having sort of a larger look quarterly, having a half-year check-in, and then at the end of the year, having a full review with as many people in the organization that can be beneficial.
So like our operating agreement, that is part of the business plan, but not the full business plan?
Correct. Because of all the other things, organization structure, logistics, budget, etc.
Okay.
Strategic plan focuses on overall direction of the organization and how to plan to be successful for your marketing and sales. Strategy in your strategic plan is tied to ultimately driving income. There's two ways to drive income. There are two ways to be profitable. You drive income through sales. You can also be profitable by driving more sales or by lowering your internal cost. And so every aspect of your business, you need to understand how much does it cost you and how much can you make from it, or how can it help sales. This is why we don't spend $1 million on marketing to make $100,000. Hopefully we spend $1,000 to make $10,000 or $50,000 on marketing. And we'll talk a little bit in a minute, kind of pieces within the strategic plan. But that's the difference between a business plan and a strategic plan.
What's going on out here?
The city of Oklahoma City is dealing with a gas need.
Okay, so we're fine.
Yes.
Right, Hannah, they said we're
I
okay?
asked him, I said, we can't help gas inside.
Right.
He said, we were fine, we were turning it off.
Okay.
So.
So, I guess in theory, you may not have hot water today, but we won't explode in theory.
Yeah.
And the arts festival will be okay, right?
Yes.
The reason I ask why if you had a business plan and a separate strategic plan is, like most people in this room, a lot of people don't go through the process of doing the whole business plan. And it is a mistake. Even in the internal process of you examining all of the elements that we explained in a business plan allows you to understand what you have in place, what things that can go well and what things don't, or that are missing gaps. Obviously, if you've ever tried to go to a bank for a loan or to an investor for income, business plan is the first thing they want to see, because they want to know if you understand how your business really works and not accidentally making some money.
So with a business plan, or like if you are getting a loan, are they wanting you to have something projected as far as income that's going to come in?
Yes, sales projection is absolutely part of the business plan, and the first thing the bank will ask for, or an investor.
Would you have to go by your previous sales but
previous sales, kind of best practices for your industry, anything that you could sort of, any economic data that you could pull that is a business similar to yours. This is why, like on Shark Tank, a lot of times people be like, this is a $10 billion industry. Like, okay, great, but how much of that can you really achieve within your business? But some of that scope is a starting place for understanding if your business can be profitable enough to repay the loan on the terms of the bank. So there are a couple of common misconceptions or mistakes that people make when they don't write a full business plan, or if they don't develop a full strategic plan. And again, if it's not written down, it's not a real plan. You can have notes and you can have conversations with your team about what your strategy is, but if it's not written down where you can kind of very analytically go through it, decipher what it is, and be able to refer back to it as things happen in the world, then it's not a real strategic plan. First one is, a lot of people say they don't know where to start when crafting a strategy for their business. I'm seeing some heads up. So does anyone right now think, I don't even know where to start to write a strategic plan? Excellent. It's a good place for us to have it. Here's my first visual clue for you. Okay. Everyone, hold your hand up where you're looking at the palm of your hands. All right, so you look at the palm of your hand. All right, your thumb. These are your goals. We start with goals. It's the shortest finger because there should only be a couple of goals. You don't need 10 goals, but you can't have one goal. Somewhere in between. And you know the difference between humans and animals, right? We have opposable thumbs. Like we can use tools. Goals are very important. Goals, next come objectives. Goals and objectives work together. Objectives are subsets of your goals. So a goal could be, we're going to increase sales by 50% next year. That's a goal. It's big, it's broad, it's something to go towards, and it's something that you can measure but not specifically. Well, how would you increase sales by 50% next year? Well, it means you need to increase sales by around 12 to 15% per quarter. So now you have objectives of quarterly increases and ways you might achieve that. Driving new sales, repeat customers, upselling, etc. So those are objectives that will help you reach the goal. Once you have goals and objectives, now you can create the strategy. Your middle finger, the longest finger, this is where all the work is. It allows you also to kind of like tell the competition how you feel about them. This is your strategy. So goals, objectives, strategy. I'll go into all the details of what strategy is, but after strategy, then you talk about tactics. Your ring finger are the tactics. Tactics are the execution of your strategy. My greatest pet peeve in the world as a strategic planner is when I say, what is the strategy for your business? And someone says, Facebook. Facebook is a tactic. It's not a strategy. Social media is a tactic. Traditional advertising is a tactic. Events are a tactic. This event here is a tactic. It's not the strategy, but it's a tactic. Once you have goals, objectives, you've crafted a strategy, the strategy tells you what your tactics are, you have to measure. Measurement goes in this process. Without measurement, you're just doing stuff. And just doing stuff has some high potential to waste money. Does anyone here have money to burn?
No.
Does anyone here have an unlimited budget?
No.
Right? So if we are strategic, we can do the most with our budget, whether it's our time, our effort, our attention, or our money. You have to measure it. You go back to the beginning, back to your goals, and are your measurements telling you you're any closer to the goal you started off with? Now I tell you to set goals very high and sometimes unachievable. Like you don't want to reach your goal, but you really do want to reach your goal. And goals have to be something that are measurable because ultimately we end with measurements and we start the process all over again. That's the 5-finger slap of strategy. So now you know where to start with strategy. Start with goals. Set a couple of goals. Typically, goals are something to do with generating income, increasing sales, or doing something that expands or grows the business. Those are the goals you should set. 2, 3, some people will tell you up to 7. I would never say 7. 2, 3, possibly 4 goals. Big, lofty, some people call them hairy, audacious goals, but goals in general. Hannah, the firemen are at the door. So, hopefully they'll tell us good news. By setting goals and creating subsets of those goals or objectives, you are now closer to achieving your goals. Objectives are things that are a lot more manageable versions of the goals. So again, if you're trying to increase sales, how do you increase those sales? By quarter, by month, and you can even measure what your weekly sales need to be. Do it.
Thank you for listening to the Golden Group Strategic Growth Podcast. Please subscribe so you never miss an episode. Follow the Golden Group on social media. For more information, past episodes, or to contact us, please visit thegoldengroup.com.